Like, just because somebody's not a captain doesn't mean they're not a leader. Everybody carries their own role and load and shows it differently. I think you don't need to prove yourself. Just keep doing what you're doing. I think that really helps. I think just go for it, especially nowadays where there's so much, you can get so much exposure by being online and just even posting. I've seen people post highlight reels on Instagram, just stuff like that. Just go for it, and you never know.
So grade 8, did you go right into the club system, or was there like a recreational side of things? Like in the introduction part of it, was there a point where you were still learning the game, or were you kind of identified pretty quickly that we're going to put her in the club, realm of things and get you in competition right away?
Yeah, I started right with club, but I don't think it was because I was identified and able to be in club. I made the worst team in my club, Dynamo Gray, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. And I remember my best friend made Dynamo Red, and she turned down that offer to play with me on Dynamo Gray. Oh. And it started off my volleyball career strong, being able to start with all my friends and everything. Yeah, I don't think I was really identified though till like grade 11. I was really bad.
First off, are you still friends with this girl?
Oh yeah.
Okay, good.
Best good. Yes.
Like, I'm glad that friendship lasted the test of time, because that's that was pretty nice of her. So grade 11, you kind of get identified. Is that where you start realizing that there's a future in this for you? And where does that start? Is it I want to play university, or do you start thinking, man, maybe professional is a route for me?
I definitely wasn't thinking about professional, and I wasn't really thinking about university either. We hadn't really heard much about it growing up, or maybe I wasn't listening. That might be the thing. But I remember Ken came up to me and my parents, I think maybe end of grade 10, and then he started to talk to us, and then grade 11 was when he officially recruited me and when I signed, and that was really it. I didn't really think about university too much, so I'm glad Ken reached out to me, because I wouldn't have known what to do or how to make film and send it to him.
Yeah.
Especially with COVID going on, I was lost.
Yeah, no kidding. So that relationship with Ken, I mean, a guy that is, well known in the volleyball community would be an understatement in Manitoba, but with his tenure, how long he's been there and the experience coming to you, how much did that help your confidence even going into that first year, that someone who's so knowledgeable in the game and has seen many grades come in and out of his program kind of identify you and want to make that offer to you?
I wish I thought of it that way, because I think it would have really helped with my confidence, but I was just kind of thinking I'm lucky to be recruited and I'm scared to go play with university girls, but that's a really good way to think about it. I don't think nothing really helped my confidence going in, because Ken treats every player the same no matter who he's recruiting, and he says you have to earn your spot. Nobody's guaranteed a start. You're not even guaranteed coming back next year, but that's how it is at every school.
Yeah.
I think confidence just comes from playing with the group once you get there, getting to know them and getting to build chemistry.
How much of that lack of confidence, so to speak, but how does that play into your preparation? Because, clearly you've been able to overcome that. It's not really held you back in any way, shape, or form. In fact, you seem to excel into it. Do you think of that? Do you lean into it? Like, what's your mental preparation in that? Because it sounds like that might be one of the bigger parts of the preparation for your game.
Yeah, I struggle with that a lot still. And before games, I've subconsciously started visualization. I didn't believe in that, but I don't know, whenever I'm struggling, not feeling confident, I just try to picture myself doing and executing the action well. And I feel like that's helped me a lot. And also, before nationals, I had one of my worst matches of the year, the Canada West semifinals. And my coaches pulled me aside the week after that in their office, and they just had a chat, and they were like, whatever awards you've gotten and whatever we've done as a team, you've gotten by just playing and being who you are. You don't need to change that, especially now that you've gotten another award or anything. You don't need to prove yourself. Just keep doing what you're doing. I think that really helped.
Yeah. Well, how do you handle the accolades when it comes to it? Like you say, it's a testament to your team and the people around you, but with it comes, I imagine added pressure, definitely added spotlight, right? Everybody now knows that when Manitoba's in town, they're up against now the defending national champions and the two-time, U Sports Player of the Year. How have you been able to handle that as you're coming with these accolades? Do you notice any difference in terms of spotlight, people reaching out to you or talking to you, just recognizing you even?
I think I'm still learning how to deal with it, especially before games, and thinking I have to perform like the Player of the Year, which is definitely not good, and that does not help me perform better at all. So just going back to what my coaches told me, you got this just by playing how you play. Now that you've gotten the award, you don't have to do anything different. I don't know. I don't think more people are coming up to me.
No, eh?
No, I'm a pretty shy person, I'd say.
Well, I
so-
look at it, you mean you had a commercial. That's crazy. I don't know how many Canadian university athletes can say they did a full-blown commercial for, what was it again? It was was it Chicken Farmers of Manitoba or whatever,
Yeah,
the pregame meal?
Yes,
How
I
did that come
love
about?
chicken strips, so that was really fun to do.
How did that come about? How do you like,
It was something to do because we had Steph who was helping with all the national social media stuff and production. And Manitoba Chicken Farmers was a sponsor. And my team said something about me loving chicken fingers because I'm a bit of a picky eater and I love chicken fingers, chicken tenders, whatever.
okay.
And I didn't think they were going to actually have me make some, but they invited me out to make it. And I was like, okay.
I mean,
It was
what
great.
a cool partnership, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, I hope I don't go too off track because the one thing I want to ask is where you are now. Did you have any NCAA schools look at you prior to joining Manitoba or any afterwards? Have you ever been in contact with schools south of the border?
No, I've not been in contact with anybody. I haven't reached out to anyone. No one's reached out to me.
Really?
It was never a thought when I was being recruited.
So you were like basically Manitoba all the way through? Like that was...
Manitoba, because I also talked to U of W a little bit, but that's really it.
So just local?
Yeah, just local. And I love being at home with my family so much.
Yeah.
So even before like knowing anything about the coaching staff or the teams, I was like, this is a win if I stay here.
Yeah. I feel like there's going to be so many coaches watching this thinking, like banging their head against the table thinking, what? No one talked to her? I should have swooped in there. Oh gosh. No, that's crazy. I would have assumed that there would have been, yeah, like the attention at least, especially after the last couple of seasons. So with that though, when you come in Canada and, you know, pretty low key, like compared to NCAA in a lot of ways. But now that you've seen the opportunities that you get, like you just played in front of 33,000+ people in a sold out gym at nationals, you know, local organizations and companies are coming to you, you know, for endorsements and, you know, partnerships and things like that. You said like you didn't foresee any of this. Like how much did that kind of throw you for a whirl a little bit when you see the support of the volleyball community, but also to the point now where they want to put you on a, you know, on a platform essentially because your voice and your face is going to help them, you know, put their product out to a new market.
I think it's really cool. I don't think any of us really expected all the like local publicity that we'd get, and even just the turnout. Having a sold out last game was just really, really special to us, especially for women's volleyball that hasn't gotten a lot of attention in the past, specifically in Canada, because it is such a big thing in the States. And I feel like even for people in Canada, they get distracted by that. And then they're just, nobody even thinks about Canada West, U Sports, OUA, whatever. So it was really cool. And then to have local brands reach out, it's a really neat experience.
That was one of the most wild atmospheres I'd ever been a part of, like in terms of live sports. 3,300 people could be very loud. It was a very engaged crowd too. I don't know how much you guys actually get to like take it in as you're playing, but I was looking around and yeah, you had some of your teams. I think the women's hockey team was dressed up in full gear, and I think there might have been football players that were waving at the opposing server, which I thought was funny. But you had like grown people full on face paint and, you know, the funny jackets and you know, old varsity things that they had. I mean, that to get that kind of support, like it felt like it wasn't just because we're out here to, you know, support you like out of our goodwill. Like they wanted you guys to win. Like it was a very intense crowd. I mean, how much are you able to take that in the moment?
I think I was able to take it in a lot. The noise was really loud, so it's kind of hard to not pay attention to that. And even just seeing the support we got from other Bison athletes, like our hockey teams, football teams, basketballs, like track, there was just so many athletes there to support, that was super special to us. I think I noticed that the most out of anything. It was just amazing to see everybody come together for this, because it's a big event and it doesn't happen often.
Yeah, like once in a lifetime, really, to play for your school on home court and then win it is, I don't know how many teams have actually have done that. I know there's been a few more in like U Sports as a whole, but it's still very hard to do. When you take away everything, like take away the banner and like, you know, the fact that you attained your goal, when you look back at that weekend, what do you think is going to stick out to you, or already might stick out to you when you think of that weekend that made it so special?
I think just the fact that that was the weekend we've been able to accomplish our goals. We've been working towards that with basically the same group of people for 3 years, because with COVID years and everything, we haven't had a lot of graduating seniors.
Yeah.
We've had like 3 the past few years. So just finally knowing that our hard work paid off, I don't think I'll ever be able to forget that feeling. The second we won, it was just like, finally.
Wow, and just how loud it was too. When you go in against Montreal, like this is my last question about like the actual game itself, but a team that was like lower ranked, no one really had them going into the finals, right? Is there a little bit of nervousness there too, or it's like, because you talk about thinking ahead, trying to envision yourself in the situation. I don't know if you put yourself against the University of Montreal in that case. So how do you handle that in terms of just like an opponent we've never played before, don't really know too well? How do you control that environment?
I think there's always nerves, but just trusting our preparation and knowing Ken and Joe have done the film, they've done the scouting, they've told us what they think we need to know. And it was kind of an advantage for both of our teams to make it to the final, because in Christmas break, we went out and played them for 5 days. We just scrimmaged Montreal every day in different groups of our teams. And so that was super helpful, I think, for both of our teams.
Yeah, no kidding. I didn't realize that. I thought you like didn't play them at all going up. So you guys had scrimmages with them. So it wasn't actual games, just more like a not a glorified practice.
Yeah, it was like kind of, it was really low key scrimmages, kind of like practice wash drills almost. And that was super helpful in the end for both of us.
Which is kind of cool, because now you can both look back at it. It's like, who would have thought that we'd be meeting each other in the national final, right? We were just scrimmaging with each other. That's really cool. You had an interview, I think it was with CBC. And one thing that you said that really stuck out to me was, this happens all the time, right? Like I know we had nationals and 3,300 people showed up and it was wild, but essentially, like, this is the level we play at all the time. It's the premier level of volleyball in Canada. What do you hope people took out of that weekend, and what do you think it's going to take for people maybe to take more of a not a chance, but actually come out and support U Sports Volleyball, Canada West Volleyball on a regular basis, because it is a premier product. I mean, we're talking about the best athletes in the country competing every weekend.
Mm-hmm. I think people should just realize that our season is so long. There's so many games to come to, and like it is super special that so many people came out for these games. And yes, they were more important, but we're always playing like that. Our goal is to play the first game of the season just how we'd play the national final. So there's just as much reason to come out throughout the year as there is at nationals.
We talked about professional a little bit. I would say, the Canadian professional market is growing, but it's still really lagging on the women's side for sure. Right? I mean, you've got professional soccer league now, professional basketball on top of Canadian football. But now even volleyball as a whole, I don't know if growing up you got to watch a lot of, high level outside of the NCAA or, here at home at the U Sports level. But then there's the growth of this professional league south of the border, like places like Nebraska where they're getting 80,000 people out to a game at a football stadium. What's it going to take for that to get to that level here, do you think? What's the key ingredient to kind of see, maybe not to that extent right away, but to the point where you might have opportunities to play at home?
Yeah, I'm not sure what it's going to take. That's a really great question. I think just social media nowadays is really helpful in that way, because it can get us a lot of exposure, and especially with nationals happening. I know the finals had like 36,000 views like as of last week, which is way more than they even had last year.
Yeah.
So the growth of stuff like that is really going to help just volleyball in Canada gain followers, hopefully. So I guess just relying on stuff like that and hoping it can keep picking up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From the, the role model perspective, because I know there's some girls, you said there's some at UW, probably some at U of M that you would have watched before you kind of came into the U of M yourself. But how do you handle those role model situations? Because there's clearly a generation of young volleyball players that and are there on a regular basis. Like, you still get a really good turnout from like week to week. But when you're seeing that, the young girls watching you and coming out to play, like what are you hoping to set for them in terms of being a role model of how you approach the game, how you carry yourself? I mean, do you think about that at all?
I don't really think about it during the game as much, but Ken always reminds us, have good posture, have a good attitude. So I think that's really helpful, because nobody wants to go watch somebody throw a fit on the court. Like, that's not a good role model for the young girls. And then off the court, I just want to give them a good interaction, even though there's not that much time and we're always rushed out for a team meeting. I don't know, approaching them with a smile on my face, even if I can just ask what their name is.
Yeah.
I think stuff like that is really special and really important to do.
And super impactful, right? Like it doesn't seem like much, to you, I'm sure, but a little kid just says like, Raya Surinx, just she knew my name. She asked who I was. Like it probably goes a long way. And even in terms of motivation for those kids too, right? Like because you put yourself in their shoes, right? And you're meeting someone who looks, as a kid, just like larger than life, so good at the sport, like what you're aspiring to be. I'm sure for you getting that kind of attention would have helped you a little bit too, to kind of be like, I want to be that good too.
Yeah. And I feel like it's more normalized now too, which is nice because I don't remember when I was, like younger playing club. I don't remember going down to the court ever and seeing people, or maybe I was just too scared.
Okay.
But I'm not sure if it was quite as normalized, but now they just feel free to come down after the game, which I love, especially when we play second.
Yeah.
So there's no guys right after us and they can come down and we can talk to them and take pictures and sign stuff. I think that's really great.
So how has volleyball helped you break out of your shell? You talked a little bit about how you're shy. But here you are, right? Because you're good at volleyball, you're kind of forced into it in a lot of ways, right? Like, I mean, how many, media interviews have you done now? Things like this, the commercials, like how has volleyball allowed you to kind of build on that confidence out, like away from the court where you're, like where you are now?
It's kind of like DIY exposure therapy for me because I'm just kind of not forced into it because I'm willingly doing this stuff, but I don't want to turn it down. So of course I'm going to do it. And I think it helps. And in the beginning, it made it easier that a lot of the questions are similar, which is so nice. So I don't have to like think so hard and feel like, oh my gosh, what am I going to say? But yeah, I think just being thrown into all of this has been really great.
And do you feel a responsibility a little bit to kind of carry the game with you in a sense, like away from the court, like being a statesman for the game, so to speak, where, people know who you are. They know that you play for the volleyball team. Do you feel that responsibility to give back, so to speak, and be an advocate for the game?
Yeah, kind of, but we also have our two captains, Julie and Light, who have been super great in doing interviews, which that makes me so happy because I'm definitely not the best at that, but they're really great at representing the program, representing the team, representing women's volleyball. So it's nice to have other people to rely on as well.
Well, now you've got Light's graduate. I think, is Julia graduating too?
Yeah, sadly.
Yeah. Well, two-part question. Are you a little jealous that they're graduating? Because now they get to just celebrate this national championship and don't have to come back to run it back next year? That'd be the first question.
Yes, but also no, because I am excited to play, to get to play with more of my teammates next year as well. Because as much as I want to, they actually don't have any more eligibility, so they can't come back. But I am a little bit jealous because they just get a ride off this high.
Right? Off the sunset, right? As they say. Now, on the other side of that, though, they're gone, right? So more interviews. Like now you're going to be in your fourth year. I imagine, just kind of slot into that leadership role because you're already leading on the floor as well. Do you feel that added responsibility? Are you nervous a little bit now that you kind of become one of the top leaders, so to speak, where there's going to be younger teammates looking up to you?
I'm not sure I'm nervous because we have a lot of players, especially behind the scenes, like Chelsea, Elia, like Ella Gray. They're all super great leaders in their own way, and a lot of people don't get to see that. Like just because somebody's not a captain doesn't mean they're not a leader. Everybody carries their own role and load and shows it differently. So I'm just really excited to be able to do that with a new group of players next year on the court and kind of step into a new role, whatever that is.
Well, let's step away from the court now. Who is Raya Surinx away from the court? Like when you're not playing volleyball, because we talked a little bit before starting this, like it does take up a lot of your time, but what are some of the other things that Raya does to get away from volleyball? Is that important for you to kind of take a break from it sometimes?
Yeah, a big thing I like to do, I'm a really big reader.
Okay.
I love to read and spend time with my family. I love spending time with my family so much. I think that's one of my favorite things to do. I love being home.
Yeah? You're a homebody, so to speak, when you're not playing?
So much.
Yeah?
Like, it's actually bad. Sometimes my team has to drag me out. They're like, come on, we're seniors. This is the last chance you have with us.
True.
Like, okay.
And you only get this run once, right? Once university's done, there's no going back, at least not as a varsity athlete because you have your eligibility. Mm-hmm. What kind of books do you read?
I read a little bit of everything. Mainly fiction and just like every genre. Yeah. Whatever speaks to me.
That's awesome. Do you read a lot like volleyball stuff, like in terms of that's totally off the radar?
That's off the radar. Yeah, I'm not sure. I just read. Okay, this sounds really bad. I'm on Book Talk on TikTok, but I'm like really deep. So it's not the surface level, but I get a lot of recommendations from there, and I go through like 3 to 4 books a week. And I have my Kindle. I take my Kindle everywhere, on the plane, on the road, at school.
Are you on Goodreads?
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
Are you on Goodreads?
No, my wife is though. She loves that. How much do you get on Goodreads? Like, do you get any good recommendations there?
No.
No?
I don't know. I don't trust Goodreads because I feel like a lot of people, when I read the reviews, it skews my perspective because some people are really big book snobs and that's respectable. I'm glad you can tell the difference, but I'm not. I won't really hate on a book that much.
Yeah.
I can't tell what's really poorly written.
So Goodreads essentially is, for like people watching who wouldn't know, that's basically like a book review, like you can read a book, you plug it in and you give your like 5-star out of 5-star review and a little submission, I guess. And it also keeps track, doesn't it, of like all the books that you read?
Yeah, they'll count them.
How many books have you read this year? Roughly.
I think I've read around like 46.
Already?
Yeah. It's been going
insane. That's
going crazy. And Kindle Unlimited is just feeding my addiction because it's like a digital library.
Yeah.
So
that I can see that. My wife has Kindle Unlimited too. It's the same deal. She's always like trying to figure out what she can get on it. But like, are you reading between sets?
I wish.
Where do you find the time?
I wish. It's bad. It's so bad. It distracts me from doing schoolwork. But I wake up and I read, and then I'll go to the gym, come home, read.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. I'm always reading. My brother makes fun of me because we're trying to watch a show as a family, and I'm on my Kindle, and he's like, "Put that down."
That's too funny. Oh man, but hey, it's clearly a good escape though. I mean,
Yeah.
if it's getting you away from everything. So I know like we talked about the NCAA a little bit. Do you know Simon Hildebrandt? Like, I know you guys would have went to the school together, but did you know him pretty well?
I would say pretty well, but
you know,
Bison athletes, yeah, we know each other.
And like that's like when you see what he did, you know, where it's like you can jump to another program, like, or to the US and the things that come with that. Like even seeing someone else do it, that's something that, does it interest you at all? Is it like even a little bit, or is it just kind of, no, I'm good here and I want to figure out how I can cement my legacy? Because you look at the other side of that, all the records that you're like in the running for already, and you still have 2 years of eligibility left. So does that outweigh like any opportunities maybe of going to restart somewhere new, especially considering you like being home?
Yeah, I don't know. It's super cool what Simon's done, and I think it was definitely the right move for him, and he's doing great out there. Like, that was an amazing choice. But for me personally, especially because now that I finished my 3rd year, it just seems like it'd be so pointless to go for 1 year.
Yeah.
And then that's so little time to prove yourself as a player, so I'd probably just go and not play much. And it's a different style of volleyball and different groups of people. I love my coaching staff. I love my team. I love being home with my family and friends. So I don't know. It just doesn't, I don't think it's for me.
So you look at your off season, I put air quotes because I don't know how much of one you actually get. How much are you training for volleyball? Like when you take into account team practices, individual stuff, weightlifting, whatever the case may be. I mean, how much are you dedicating in a week to just your performance on the volleyball court?
Like right now?
Yeah, like just generally, like let's say like in a year, even like, you know, if you were like average it out throughout the weeks, like.
Oh wow. During the season, we practice Monday to Friday, and then we'll have individuals once a week, and then we'll be lifting. It's not mandatory, but most of us lift like 3 to 4 times a week. Okay. And then if we travel, you travel on Thursday, get back Sunday, and then we'll get Monday off sometimes, but it's an everyday thing. You're always doing some sort of movement.
Yeah.
Right now is nice because there's nothing mandatory. Anything I'm doing is completely optional. Our assistant coach, Joe, sent a text to the group chat and said, if anybody wants to come practice with our 16 or 18U girls teams, you can do that. So I'm going there on Wednesday.
Okay.
But yeah, now it's super light, but during the year, it's crazy.
How hard is it to like turn your attention? Like you just won a national championship and now you've got next gen tryouts. I mean, how hard is that to kind of refocus and recalibrate so quickly?
It's pretty hard, but I think it's especially hard because you kind of have to dial back into school, because during Canada West playoffs and during nationals, I wasn't really thinking of school as much as I should have been. So just focusing on that and exams, and also knowing I have to try out or not tryout. I have to practice for the tryout. It's a bit stressful, but yeah, I think compartmentalizing it a little bit is helping.
Is the hardest part the school part? Like in terms of, because like again, like there's that payoff with volleyball, right? Like you practice, you've got a game every Friday, Saturday, playoffs, nationals, whatever. But you know, with school on top of that, I can see that easily going to the back burner a little bit because of everything that you just said, right? Because the thing is if you got a couple of questions wrong on a test, no one's going to know except for like you and your teacher or whatever. But yeah, if something happened, like, you know, you didn't win nationals or there's, you know, mistakes that you make on the court that could cost you the game, like that's kind of for everybody to see. Like, how hard is it to kind of balance the two where it's like, yeah, I want to bring my best to the volleyball court and that's what everybody sees and what they know me for, but I'm also a student.
Mm-hmm. I think especially with being around my teammates, it's not too hard to balance because we have a lot of motivated players and just being around them like motivates me to get my schoolwork done, which is really helpful because I don't have a lot of intrinsic motivation myself, which sounds bad, but yeah, being around them really helps. And the balance part, I don't know, it kind of balances itself out because volleyball is a break from school and you don't have to think about what assignments are due. You don't have to think about your exams. And school is a break from volleyball. You're not thinking, oh, I shanked this pass. I'm not hitting well. I'm not jumping high enough. So they kind of do that on their own, which is nice.
Yeah. How important is the recovery with that too? Like, you know, the saying of that quick turnaround where you go from playing a full, like absolute most amount of games you could play in a U Sports season to a couple weeks off, and now you're going to play it with the best in the country. How, like, what are you doing to take care of yourself in the interim to make sure that you're as healthy as can be? Because I'm sure the injuries, maybe not even injuries, just like soreness would pile up just from the wear and tear of like, and if you play a powerful game too, right? Like you're jumping a lot and you're smashing the ball. Like I feel like that takes a toll on your body.
Yeah, it definitely does. And I think right now it's tough because we just had 2 weeks off. So getting back into working out and getting back into practices, feeling sore and tight and getting used to that is definitely going to be really important, especially going into the tryout. Mm-hmm. It's shorter this year, so it's only 2 days long, which is nice, but you definitely don't want to be feeling super sore on the second day of that tryout. So making sure I get enough workouts in before I go and getting enough practice so I'm at top shape is going to be important.
So you've got 2 years left, like of eligibility, whether or not you take the two is another thing, but you got 2 years left of eligibility at the U of M. What comes after that? Obviously, I know you're focused on that, but I mean, is there aspirations to play pro, I imagine? Is there any particular part of the world or a league that you'd like to play in?
Yeah, I'd love to play pro. I think especially since doing Next Gen in my first year and hearing a lot about girls' experiences and how that is really possible, inspired me. And I've been talking to a few agents, and it's definitely something that I want to do.
Yeah.
Like once I graduate, I for sure want to go play pro, whether that's in like Belgium, Switzerland, Germany. I think starting off somewhere like that would be really nice.
Yeah.
And I think they're like accessible leagues, especially for my skill level. It's a nice, it's not one of the super high up leagues, which is going to be good.
Yeah. Kind of work your way into it.
Yeah.
If you weren't playing volleyball, if Raya was not a volleyball player, what would you be doing?
I have no idea what I would be doing. I have no idea. I probably would have taken a year off of school so I could figure that out more before going into my courses, but I can't imagine my life not playing volleyball.
I just picture you like, now that I know that you're a big reader,
you're reading.
You're just off like some lake or island or something, just reading books, probably become an author yourself. That's the alternate life.
I'll take it. Yeah, that's AU Raya.
So what happens? Okay, so you're in sciences is what you're taking in school. So when your playing days are done, whenever that is, what do you see as the next chapter? Like what interests you to a point where you'd either want to, you know, pursue that as a career, or do you see yourself staying in volleyball in some way, shape, or form when your playing days are done?
Yeah, I could definitely see myself being involved in volleyball, but I hope that throughout my pro years, I'm able to still work at figuring out what I want to do and if I want to go back for my master's. So that'll give me some time, like sort of delay it while also still having a job while playing professionally. So I'll be able to think through what I want to do. Like if that's stay in volleyball, go back to school, get a job in something completely unrelated, it'll give you some time to think. Yeah.
What kind of coach would you be?
I don't know. I don't know if I'd be a good coach.
No?
I don't think I could do it. It's
Why?
tough. I don't know if
I imagine
correcting players is so hard, and I feel so bad. Even when I go to camps, I never know what to say to people, so I just kind of stand there. And like, I'm just lingering
Yeah.
for no reason.
I just agree.
And then the coaches who invite me out, they're like, "Oh, feel free to correct them. You can say anything." I'm like, I don't want to say something wrong.
I mean,
hard.
yeah, I guess, but I guess that's also why you're there. They trust that you're going to say what's right.
Too much trust. Too much trust.
Too much trust. How much trash talking do you do on the volleyball court? How much trash talking is there on a volleyball court?
There's no trash talking on a volleyball court.
None?
None.
Not.
I would be baffled if somebody started trash talking me through the net.
Well, like sometimes you see a player, it looks like it from my angle, where it's like, someone will have a block and then there's like a flex. There's no other words thrown there.
No words. Like
Eve Katojo's never said anything. Come on.
I don't think she has. I think the most she's done is like a little finger wave.
Really?
Yeah.
I would have assumed, because I always wondered about that. I didn't play volleyball ever. But like, because in other sports, you're kind of like playing defense, like you're playing them, right? Like there's contact, so there's like you're in each other's ear, whatever, whether it's basketball, hockey, football, whatever. But in volleyball, like you never cross the other side of the net unless you're changing benches or whatever.
Yeah.
But that shocked me, because I feel like if I had a Raya Surinx type smash, I'd probably want to talk trash a little bit.
Well, I'm glad you don't then.
Yeah, no, I clearly do not. I don't know if I can get a piece of paper,
Yeah.
let alone a phone book under my feet if I were to jump, but
Yeah, I don't know. It's not really a thing in volleyball. I think you get carded so fast, because even if you stare down through the net, I'm pretty sure you can get a yellow card.
I think I saw that in the
Yeah.
men's tournament, actually. One guy like stared a little while and like pointed for an extended period of time of like where the ball
Yeah.
dropped, that it was in or something, and he got a card. Have you ever gotten a card before?
No.
No?
Never.
What would you do if you got a card?
I'd be so shocked. I don't know what I would do to get a yellow card.
So what happens if you get a yellow card? It's not like soccer, right? It's not like you're kicked out of the game
No,
if you get two, right?
nothing happens.
So you just,
It's just a warning.
well, I'd probably collect a lot of those. That'd be the record
Yeah,
I'd go
actually-
for. That'd be the record. That one's attainable for me. If I were playing
aim high.
volleyball. Hey, gotta be memorable somehow. I was the yellow card guy. They called me yellow card.
That's a good title.
Too bad a band already took it, but whatever. Oh man. So we'll finish off with this. Where there's, for young volleyball players that are watching and hearing your story, I'm sure some people would be surprised to hear that you really only started playing competitively in grade 11, where you started getting looks or grade 10, sorry, for university. But for those that look at it, that are playing maybe at a younger age, have those aspirations, what's your advice to them as they look at you and see what you've accomplished and, want to set out to accomplish the same things?
I think just go for it, especially nowadays where there's so much, you can get so much exposure by being online and just even posting. I've seen people post highlight reels on Instagram, just stuff like that, sending out your tapes. Like, it doesn't matter if you think the school is better than you are, just go for it. And you never know.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And are you guys running it back next year?
I hope so. I want to.
Man, yeah, that's the thing. You did it right in the middle. Now you got 2 years that you got to maintain that. So
Yeah.
that'll be fun, eh?
That's
Just
the
putting all the
goal.
pressure on yourself. It was all
Amazing.
all great till now. Now you're like, oh, now we're on the mountaintop and now we got to stay there. So
Didn't even think of that.
now I've got you all psyched out for the off season. No, that had nothing to do with me. Had nothing to do with me. Thank you so much for making the time for coming on the show,
Thank
Ray.
you.
I really appreciate it. And best of luck next year and moving forward.
Thank you so much.